welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Friday, January 8th, 2021, and this is episode 166. I'm Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I am coming to you from my home in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, just a little more than an hour's drive east of Vancouver. If you are a first-time viewer, a very special hello and welcome to you. And if you are a returning viewer, hello again, and welcome back to another year of A Stitch in Time. Today's episode is not only the first of 2021, it is also the first in my 5th year of podcasting, if you can believe it. Wednesday was my 4th podiversary, as they've come to be known, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to say, first of all, thank you for watching, because if you weren't tuning in week after week, there'd be no point in me doing this. But more than that, I want to express my appreciation for all of your kind comments and support, and most of all, your friendship over the past 4 years. I am looking forward to many more episodes in the future, and I hope you will continue to tune in to those too. Before we get into the meat of this week's episode, I have some business to clear up from 2020, and that is to announce the final winners in the 2020 Giftalong craftalong. Thank you so much to all of you who participated. I was blown away by not only all the chatter and camaraderie and community, but also by some amazing crafted items. Your gift recipients were very, very lucky. Let's just say that. When I closed the thread, counting my last comment, there were 484 posts. So I knocked off the first one and the last one because they were both me. And I drew 2 winners from posts 2 to 483 using random number generator. The first pick was a prior winner, so I chose again, and the next 2 were new selections, so that worked out pretty well. The first winner is post number 292, and that is Knits and Reads, also known as Susan from Colorado. So congratulations, Susan. You have won this project bag and a little something to snack on. Susan made numerous Harry Potter themed gifts for her grandchildren, including socks and matching bags. So I'm sure that they were thrilled to open them on Christmas morning. So Susan, please get a hold of me. Let me know you've won, and just confirm your mailing address with me. Thanks. Congratulations. And the next winner was post 225, which is Knit Git UK, also known as Maria from Kent, UK. And she was like a knitting machine. She had socks and baby sweaters, a beautiful shawl that she was working on, I think most recently, and also a sweater for her husband. So congratulations, Maria, and thank you for participating. Please give me a private message on Ravelry and let me know which pattern you would like that is available on Ravelry up to a value of $10 US, and I will get that in your inbox as soon as you let me know which one you like. So again, thank you to everyone who participated, and congratulations to all the winners over the course of the craftalong. As I mentioned last week, I was really reluctant to see this Giftalong craftalong come to an end, and so I decided to just start a new one. And judging from the initial response, a lot of you were feeling the same way. So I'm so thrilled to see so much conversation in the new cowl already. My initial idea for the theme of this cowl was the idea of sort of selfish knitting. Now that I finished all my gift knitting and the holidays were over, I was anticipating doing some, not just knitting, but crafting, just for me. For the record, I use selfish in air quotes because I really don't believe there's such a thing as selfish crafting. I always use the idea of golfing as an analogy. I doubt very much that there's any golfer out there who thinks that his or her hobby has to somehow benefit someone else. And yet sometimes we as makers feel a little guilty making beautiful objects and not giving them away. So I had last week solicited some ideas for the new Craftalong, and I got some great suggestions back. And a theme that seemed to run through it was validation of the idea of crafting for yourself, but also the idea of making time to craft for yourself. And those are two similar but not identical things. And so I sort of took some words from different suggestions and came up with the name of Making Time for Me Craftalong. So I think of it in two ways. Not only is it time that in which you make things, it's also time for yourself, and that you are taking that time for yourself to indulge in a hobby that you love, whether or not those items you produce are kept for yourself or given away. So as always, I really like my alongs to be as inclusive and as relaxed as possible. And so this will run much like the Giftalong did previously. And that is that any type of craft is okay. Any type of project, whether it be a work in progress or a new project, whether you keep that item yourself or give it away, it doesn't matter. It is so much less about what we're making than it is about the fact that we are taking time to make things, keep our mental health and creativity in good stead, and just to have that sense of community and conversation and camaraderie. So the cowl, as I see it now, will run from beginning of January to the end of February, unless we decide, who knows, maybe there'll be enough interest that we will extend it. Let me know what you think of that. And at the end of February, I will draw some winners, again, just from the chatter thread using random number generator. I haven't finalized exactly what those prizes will be. Most likely, once again, project bags and Ravelry patterns, or patterns that are giftable on Ravelry. So yeah, I hope any of you who are just looking for some company as you craft away this year will drop by the Ravelry group, which is where the cowl is being held, and come join in the conversation. So it is a new year, and that means new socks. I talked about this also last episode, that as my day 25 skein of the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Holiday Pops collection, mini collection, I had received a skein of yarn that was based on this drawing of a bird. The colorway is named Feathers and Tunes, And the inspiration was designed to help remind us of the brightness, warmth, and hope awaiting us in the days to come. And taking that spirit of hope in mind, I decided to wait until New Year's Day to cast on my new socks and kind of try and focus on that idea of hope. So far, the new year has not necessarily looked so good for some of us, depending on where you live and what the state of your country or world is in, health-wise and otherwise. But I still am hopeful that 2021 will be a better year for us all. And I'm just doing my best to stay optimistic. So I quite happily cast on these new socks on New Year's Day, as I say, and have enjoyed knitting on them so far. So these are the 4 colors. It's like this kind of a medium gray, kind of a rusty color, this cream with the little speckles in it, and then this beautiful bright red. So yeah, my usual, these will be for me. Also in the theme of things, 64 stitch cast on a 2mm needle, top down, as you can see, 2x2 rib. I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do for the heels. I may just do a traditional heel flap and gusset, see how the colors play out. Sometimes that works better than others. Or I may decide to add another coordinating color in for the heel. We'll see. We'll see how it goes as I make my way along. But so far, enjoying them very much. And I've put them in my bag that I made a few years ago, because to me the colors just kind of went together. They seemed fated for each other. So happy to once again have a pair of socks on the needles. I actually went a few days without one. Gasp! I know that almost never happens, but I really like to keep socks, plain socks in particular, on hand for those few minutes that if I'm on a telephone call or riding in the car, or just you know, having a conversation with someone, something easy to knit without having to think too much and concentrate. And it's surprising how quickly they can grow, a few minutes here and a few minutes there. All right, my show notes are here. That's why I'm looking at them over here. Oh, I forgot to bring my next project in. Oh yes, another year of, you know, good gaffes like that. So I will be right back. So the project I wanted to talk about next is my Swallowtail by Jamie Hoffman. This is a sweater that I started last fall out of 4 colors of Fiddly Dye Works. So this kind of cranberry color is called Adira. This dark brown is Julian. The cream color with little specks of color in it is Olivia. And then the main color is Sophie. And I've actually finished the entire body now. I bound off the hem just a few days ago. So that's the front. And there's the back. I cannot tell you how happy I am with this sweater. It fits perfectly so far. I've enjoyed knitting it. I just love everything about it. So I am really looking forward to this week picking up the stitches on the sleeves, or one sleeve anyway to start, and working my way down. So the sleeves have the similar color work here, and also at the cuffs. So basically they'll look like this, only thinner. So yeah, Loving, loving, loving this and happy to have time to work on it again. Looking where I'm going to put this. Another project I've quite enjoyed working on this week. I don't want to give any instructions away. That'll be fine. So it's Albuquerque Sunset. It is a shawl by Casapinka. And I am basically making it to look just like that one. Let's bring that a little closer. It's an asymmetrical triangular shawl, and although I haven't used exactly the same yarns as the original, I've used the same colorway of one of them and a similar yarn to the other. So my main color, this silvery gray, is I'm trying to see if that's the right way to hold this. I guess it's this way. This silvery gray is Sweet Georgia Yarns Tough Love Sock in the Snowfall colorway. And then the contrasting color is Miss Bab's Tart in the Deep Sea Jellyfish colorway. So it's the same colorway that was used in the original, but it was a different yarn base. So that's the sort of the second part of the shawl, and I think I had either just finished it or was getting close to finishing that part the last time I recorded. So I've done now this part, lost count, part 2, part 3, I don't know. Maybe I've been working on that. It doesn't really matter. I have now completed this part, and I'm working on the final lace border, and that's done all in the Deep Sea Jellyfish colorway. So it's a nice size to skein shawl, be really good for, you know, kind of wearing as a scarf, which is how I wear many of my shawls or shawlettes or however you want to call it. But actually this one will be big enough just to put over my shoulders if I just wanted to do that too. So I love how the gray and that pinks and oranges look together. I was kind of kicking myself last night because I could have been a lot further along if I hadn't made a mistake. You can see here there's a garter ridge. Well, I originally purled it and was, I don't know, half a dozen or more rows, I guess about 8 rows through this lace section when I realized my mistake and had to take it back. So that was a bit of a bummer, but I'm back on track and shouldn't take me too long to finish that up. So who knows, that might be my first FO of 2021. It's probably the biggest candidate for it, or the best candidate. And I got one final project that I've been working on. I showed it to you last week. That is the Longest Night Shawl by Lori Law. It is being knit from Willy Wonka lace weight merino silk. There's the Willy Wonka fibers, that's the tag for it. There is like 1,500 yards on the skein. It's a big shawl, almost 700 stitches when it's done. I love this color. It's showing up actually really well today. This almost has a bit of a purpley periwinkle tone to it. And I mentioned last week that I started this on the solstice in 2017 and mostly have just sort of brought it out every year around Christmas time to work on it, and then it kind of gets tucked back away for the rest of the year. So for that reason, it's grown very slowly over the last few years. I had decided that before I tucked it away again, I was going to finish the second chart, the last repeat of the second chart. And so I've been working on it every morning, just doing 2 or 3 rows. And I decided I'm going to keep on doing that I'm going to sort of take approximately an hour every day to work on this. And maybe by this time next year, it will be done. Yeah, it's that idea of bit by bit, you can actually accomplish quite a bit. So it's hard to show it. It's lace, it's all crinkled up. It looks kind of like spaghetti till you take it off the needles and block it. This is the swirling snow pattern. The next chart is the same. There's only one repeat of it, and then we move into snowflakes. So I'm looking forward to that sort of change in the pattern. That's going to take a while still. There's I still have, I think, about just under half of the 32 rows to finish in this repeat. And then the next chart is another 24 rows. So it's still going to be a while. I do not anticipate showing this to you every week. I don't think it's going to change that significantly that quickly, and so I won't bore you with it every week, but I will sort of show it off now and then when I get to sort of a significant milestone, like finishing up a chart and starting a new one. All right, I have a finished project in weaving to show you. I talked about this last week. I showed you my new loom and the project I had warped up on it. And it was a scarf that I wove from Mineville Wool Company, no, Mineville Wool Project. It was a merino yarn in cranberry. And if you look closely, you can see stripes of that going through at regular intervals on the scarf. But you kind of have to look carefully. My original idea was to have the stripes go this way and the same sort of same pattern that was going this way, crossing it so that I would have a window pane check. But when I started weaving, I realized this other yarn, which is Bis Babs Yowza Wettiscane in Berlin, I realized it was so busy that you would never see that. And so I just wove the whole rest of it in the Berlin. And I love it. I love how this turned out. It is, I would say, I haven't measured it yet, but well, it's a little over 6 feet long, not including the fringes, which is a great weight or great length for a scarf. I like to wear my scarves like this. Whoops. Yeah, there goes my hair. How graceful. I like to wear a rectangular scarf kind of looped around, and then often I like to tie it this way. What I often find is that the store-bought ones are not quite long enough to do that. I also, so this would be, comes to here, just past my waist when it's done. So you do have a fair bit that still can sit in the front, either just tucked in or just poking out of your coat. And I have a nice red coat that this is going to look fabulous with. I also quite often will wear a scarf folded in half and then brought through like this. And again, this gives me lots of length to do that. I had a trick one time. Someone said you take the, see if I do this right. I think you take the top loop, you twist it, that what it was? Let me think for a minute. Yeah, you take the top. Oh, I know. You have your one that goes a little bit longer than the other. If I can do that without choking myself. Okay, so you have it a different length. You bring them through. You twist this loop, and then you bring that longer one through. And then it kind of gives you a bit of a flat knot. It can sit like that. However I decide to wear it, I really, really love this. It is soft, it's drapey. Like, I love the possibilities of just having this new way to use up, you know, a lot of the yarns I already own. So, and then new kinds of things I can gift for all my sisters and relatives that are maybe have enough socks by now. I can now weave them some scarves. So yeah, very, very happy with that FO. All right, let me see what else I have on my show notes here. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk just a little bit about my crafting goals for 2021. I did record a special episode just a couple of days ago in which I sort of looked back on the fourth quarter of my 20 in 20 challenge, but also looked ahead to 2021 and discussed a lot of the projects I wanted to do for the new year. So I am not going to go into that great a detail for this episode, but for those of you who didn't watch the other, I'll just touch briefly on a few of my crafting goals for the new year. So one of them is to finish up the projects that I had hoped to do for the 20 in 20 challenge, but never got around to. One of those projects is the Vapor Socks by Helen Stewart. And that's the only pattern from the Handmade Sock Society 3 that I did not get around to knitting. And I've done some thinking about what yarn I wanted to use for them, and I've settled on this one. It actually is quite a similar color to the Longest Night Shawl. So it's not quite an accident. What happened is I was working on the shawl, sitting on my bed, looking out the window, and it was sunny outside, and I saw a vapor trail in the sky, and the sky was kind of this blue, and it just, not only was I enjoying so much the color of the Longest Night Shawl, but it just seemed fitting to then choose this for the Vapor Socks, because it is all about vapor in various forms, whether that be the fog or clouds over the mountains or steam from a kettle. So just because I saw that vapor trail in a sky like this color, it all just kind of came together. So that is going to be my first pair of patterned socks for 2021. I am intending on casting those on sometime this weekend. Let's see what else. Oh yes, you're probably tired of hearing about it, but I am looking forward to casting on the Dogwood Blossoms sweater. I have all the yarn from Knit Picks, and I've got the pattern, but I really want to finish up Swallowtail first, because I don't really want to have two colorwork sweaters on the needles at the same time. So as soon as Swallowtail is done, I'm going to cast on Dogwood Blossoms. It's a huge project. I don't know that it will get done before next fall. It might be one of those that carries me through to the fall and next winter. It doesn't really matter. That project is just, it's going to be a big challenge because it is like all color work. Um, and I'm just going to take my time and just enjoy the process on that one. Another thing I want to do is I have really admired Jennifer Wood's designs for a long time. She goes under the designer company as or name of Woodhouse Knits. Is that what I wrote down? Yeah, Woodhouse Knits. She has a lot of patterns on Ravelry, but she's also done this book called Refined Knits that came out a few years ago. And when I saw she was doing a book, I think I pre-ordered it. But I've never ever knit one of her patterns, and it seems such a shame because I really, really love her design aesthetic. And she mostly does sweaters, but this book actually has some cowls and other projects in it too. One that I really love is this Victoria diamond pullover. And it has that same triangular lace motif at the back. I know I showed off the other day this pine cone, camellia pine cone cardigan. Just so many beautiful designs. Here's another, like a really classic kind of cabled sweater. Sorry, I have the light. I feel like the light is catching on that. I can see. Maybe that's better. In any case, I have to make, first of all, I'll have to decide what I want to knit. There's another classic kind of cabled cardigan. There's another red one. I showed that the other day. This red sweater I've always loved too. Corinne oval pullover. Anyway, check her out. Woodhouse Knits on Ravelry. Jennifer Wood. This year, I'm finally going to knit one of her sweaters. Other than that, more weaving. I really want to do more cross stitch this year again. Now that I've sort of have two projects that I've got that I've recently worked on, and I've got myself some of those magnifiers that I can see the patterns and the stitches better with. And of course I will do some sewing because I always enjoy the not just sewing project bags but also doing some quilting. So those are my plans. Definitely a lot less structured than last year when I did the 20 and 20 challenge. But I just decided to keep things a little more loosey-goosey this year and feel more free to do other things as they kind of pop up and come into my awareness, and not feel like, oh, I don't know if I should add that to the list. I'm just gonna have a little bit less structured crafting year this year. Life. Let's talk about life. We had a very quiet New Year's this year. The last few years we have gone over to Victoria on Vancouver Island and spent New Year's with my husband's brother and sister-in-law, and combined that with a visit to my mother-in-law. And then we've often from there taken off for a few days of holidays. This year that wasn't a choice, so our holiday was sort of between Christmas and New Year's. My husband took the week off, and so New Year's kind of marked sort of almost the end of the holiday instead of the beginning this year. So New Year's Eve we just we had appies for dinner like we normally would do on a Friday night. I think it was Thursday night was New Year's this year. Had some good wine, just sort of hung out, and then we're a little bit surprised. We heard of some fireworks on and off all night, and then at midnight there were a few different places, relatively close to us that were setting off fireworks. So we kind of went outside and saw a few of those, ended up chatting with a neighbor for a few minutes. We didn't stay up too late. Cameron texted all of our kids and none of them answered, and it turned out everyone had gone to bed early. So we're the old ones and we stayed up late and they all went to bed. New Year's Day, we ended up we had what we call big breakfast or brunch. We had bacon and eggs and pancakes and such. Then didn't really have lunch, and then had a really nice dinner. Grilled some steaks and shrimp and can't remember, potatoes and mushrooms and all that, and some more nice wine. So we kind of celebrated New Year's that way. And then Monday morning rolled around. Cameron was back to work, and life just sort of has settled back into a more regular routine again. I don't feel like I can sit around in my pajamas till like 11 o'clock anymore and knit. We had a lot of lazy days on our holiday, which were great. It was a good recharge for my husband, and just nice to have time together. But it's also good to get back to real life too. It's sort of the idea of just doing what you want all the time is appealing, but you can only do it so much, and then you need that routine, or at least I do. I had some good news and bad news. I heard back from my the company that warrantied my camera and learned that it is not repairable. The good news is that they are refunding me my total purchase price. So I have turned around and ordered another one. I almost ordered the same camera again, but I ended up going for the next newest one in the same series. So it's a few years newer, the design. It has basically, I think, pretty well all the same features as the other one, plus a few more. It's a little bit bigger, slightly heavier, but in general it's very much the same as in what it can do. And it's a touch screen instead of little dials and things. So that'll be a little bit challenging to learn. It also has manual focus, which I've never had before. So that'll be interesting to see how that works. I'm sure it has autofocus too, but then this might give me a chance to play around with the focusing more. So looking forward to that arriving. It won't be, it looks like, for a couple of weeks. Our numbers of new cases of COVID-19, surprise, surprise, have gone up again after the holidays. Not a surprise. So our COVID-19 restrictions have now been extended to the beginning of February 5th. They were supposed to, I think, have ended on Tuesday or Wednesday. I was expecting this, so although it's not unexpected, it is disappointing. At the same time, we weren't living outside those restrictions very much anyway in our normal course of our lives. The only thing that's difficult is we're not allowed to have family over, even if it's outside, which we did have that chance before the restrictions went into play. On the other hand, with the weather the way it is, it's not that comfortable to sit outside on our deck and visit anyway, and so I'm not sure how much of that we would be doing. One thing that we are allowed to do is to go for walks with people as long as we keep social distancing. And so, in light of that, yesterday, my daughter Jessica and I went for a little bit of I would call it a hike only because it's sort of in the woods, but really there wasn't a much elevation change. It was more just of a walk. We have a community forest that I've never been to before, but she has. It's a little ways out of town, up the mountain, and so we did a couple of different loop trails, and we did fairly easy ones to start, just because I wasn't sure how my asthma would do with sort of a more strenuous hike, and it was more the idea of just being able to be together and talk and not, walk and talk. So she brought one of their dogs, the better behaved one, and it's an off leash trail. So that dog, probably for every step we took, probably took 10 or 20. She loves it up there. And yeah, we did the larger of these loops, and then the other loop kind of goes inside of it. That one's called Three Bears Trail, and there's a picnic table along the way, and then there's also these three adorable little chairs that someone has made and put there. So I'll put a few pictures in here while I talk. It was just gorgeous. It was unlike today, it was not raining. The rain has stopped here for now, but there's still dark clouds out there. But yeah, it was a decent day, but not too cold. And yeah, it was just lovely to not just to get out into the forest, enjoy the nature, but also to enjoy some time with my daughter that is actually allowed. So that is my something good for this week. It was good for both of us, I think. That will bring the first regular episode of 2021 to a close. I am planning to get back to a weekly recording schedule, so look for another episode sometime late next week. Until then, take care, stay well, enjoy your crafting, and if you're so inclined, come by the Ravelry group and join in the Making Time for Me Cal. I'd love to see you there. Bye, everyone. See you soon.